Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we have some pretty interesting sources, all sent in by one listener who's got some,
Mhm.
some pretty big life events coming up and wants to make sure they're,
Mm.
healthy and feeling good. So, yeah, I mean, walking their daughter down the aisle,
Wow.
future grandkids,
Yeah, big
the
plans.
whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a great goal to have, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that, we can all relate to, wanting to be there
Yeah,
for those moments.
yeah, being present. And I think, sometimes we get so caught up in, just getting through the day to day
Right.
that we don't always think about
Yeah.
the long term
The
and
long game.
the long game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this listener clearly is
Definitely thinking ahead.
thinking ahead and has done a lot of research, actually.
Yes.
Sent us a bunch of articles
Hmm.
and is feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I think, with like,
Right.
where do you even begin?
Right. It's a lot of information.
Yeah. But I love this phrase they used about needing to kind of turn the ship around,
Oh, yeah.
right?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you're kind of heading in one direction and you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, I need to,
Course correct a little bit.
yeah, course correct, exactly. And sometimes that can feel like a really big undertaking.
Absolutely. And, it's easy to kind of get overwhelmed by that feeling of like,
Yeah.
where do I even start?
Right. So that's kind of our mission today in this deep dive is to like
Yeah.
help kind of unpack some of this,
Break it down.
break it down.
Make it manageable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, just even looking at the types of sources that were sent in,
Yeah.
they're all really focused on like sustainable long-term changes, not like
Mm.
quick fixes, right?
Not a crash diet.
Yeah, exactly.
Not, running a marathon tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like real lifestyle stuff.
Lifestyle changes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's key for this listener's goals because they're talking about, being there for their daughter's wedding, future grandkids. This is
Yeah.
a long game.
It's a long game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. But I think one thing that really jumped out at me was this theme around, like interconnectedness of everything, like sleep, nutrition, movement, stress management, like all these things kind of,
They all work together.
they work together. Yeah.
It's not just about
Yeah.
one thing in isolation.
Right. Exactly. And so many of these articles were
Yeah.
kind of emphasizing that.
And it makes sense, right? If
Yeah.
you're not sleeping well, it's harder to make good food choices.
Yeah. You're more stressed out.
You know?
You don't have the energy to exercise.
Exactly. So I thought that was really interesting.
Absolutely. And, even thinking back to what you said about turning the ship around, it's like
Yeah.
all of those things are kind of factors that are pushing the ship
Yeah.
in one direction or another.
I like that. Yeah, it's like a whole system.
Yeah, it's a whole system.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's maybe start with
Mm-hmm.
one specific area that I know the listener is curious about, and that's nutrition.
Okay, yeah.
And I noticed that, several of the articles mentioned the Mediterranean diet.
Yes, very popular these days, and for good reason.
Yeah. You even highlighted a passage about, like, incorporating more olive oil and fish
Mm-hmm.
into meals.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you've, looked into?
I mean, the Mediterranean diet is something that I often recommend to clients because it's,
Yeah.
it's not about restriction. It's about abundance and enjoying
Yeah,
delicious foods. And, there's a lot of research to support the benefits of it.
for sure. And actually, one of the studies that you sent specifically talks about how the Mediterranean diet is linked to improved heart health,
Yes,
cognitive function,
which
which are both so important for staying active and engaged as we age.
and for those goals that you mentioned, I mean, if you want to be
Yeah.
playing with your grandkids,
Yeah.
you need to have that cognitive function. You need to have
Right, for sure.
the energy.
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
what I like about the Mediterranean diet is it's not like a crazy
No.
deprivation thing.
So it's a way of eating
Yeah.
that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
And, it can be adapted to different cultures and different preferences.
Totally. Okay, so we've got nutrition.
Okay.
Another thing that kind of popped up a lot in these articles was movement,
Yeah.
but specifically strength training,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was interesting. Because I think a lot of times people think, oh, as you get older, you just need to do like gentle
know.
yoga and walking.
Yeah.
But these articles were really emphasizing the
The importance of building muscle.
importance of building
Yeah.
muscle. Yeah. And I'll admit, I used to be like cardio queen, like just hours on the elliptical. But I've started to incorporate more strength training.
Good for you.
And it's amazing the difference it makes.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, in terms of just like how I feel in my body, like my energy levels, my posture, even my mood, I think.
Absolutely. And, strength training
Okay.
is so important for preventing falls,
Yeah.
which is
crucial as we
is with those grandkids running around, right?
Exactly. You want to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so we've got nutrition, we've got movement. What about stress? Because
That's a big one.
another big theme. And I know you've done a lot of work with clients around stress management.
It's a huge part of overall well-being.
Yeah.
It really is. And one of the things that I
Yeah.
noticed in the articles that you highlighted was this emphasis on mindfulness.
Mm-hmm. And, like practices that can help regulate cortisol levels.
Yes, because chronic stress can really do a number on the body.
Yeah. I'm curious for you, like, do you think stress might be impacting your current health habits?
That's a really good question. I think I tend to be someone who pushes through stress.
Yeah.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, I'll relax later kind of thing. I've been there. But reading these articles about the long-term effects of chronic stress on everything like sleep quality to inflammation.
Sleep thing twice.
It really does, yeah. And it's not just about feeling stressed. It's
It's the physiological impact.
it's the physiological impact, yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really important takeaway for me from this deep dive is okay, I need to prioritize
Self-care.
self-care, yeah.
Yeah.
And not see it as
A luxury.
it's an investment
It's an investment, yeah.
in your health.
In my health and in my ability to,
Right.
be there for my family for the long haul. And I think that's what's so powerful about this listener's goal is it's not just about living longer. It's about living well enough.
To enjoy those moments.
To enjoy those moments, yeah. And I remember one of the studies you highlighted was about the link between regular exercise and improved sleep.
Yes, that positive feedback loop.
Right. So it's if you can manage your stress, you're going to sleep better. You're going to have more energy to...
It's all connected. It's all connected, yeah. So I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have, and I think we've given the listener a lot to think about.
And I love that. We started with this feeling of
Overwhelm.
and we've kind of broken it down into
Yeah.
these smaller
Manageable step.
manageable steps, yeah.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what single idea or strategy from today's conversation really resonated with you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me, it's that reminder that self-care is not selfish.
Mm-hmm.
It's an investment.
Yeah. And what about for our listener out there?
Yeah, what feels like a good starting point for you? Something you can implement even in a small way today. Maybe it's adding some olive oil to your dinner. Maybe it's taking a 5-minute walk or just taking a few deep breaths. Whatever it is, just start somewhere.
Yeah. And remember, you're turning that ship around.
1 degree at a time.
1 degree at a time, exactly. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.